10 years ago, I led a retreat in Greece and I was having bees swirl around my head like a crown or landing on my wedding finger, and they will just sit there for hours. So I was already getting anointed.
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast Show. I am so grateful to be with you. I've got an amazing being here, somebody it's very, very potent and powerful. And, I don't know that I know too many people that are light leaders that are 8-figure plus business owners. I mean, there's so many impressive things about it, about Mother Malia, Jennifer Longmore. Yeah, but, that's one of the things that kind of is a little bit mind blowing in a good way. Like, whoa, yeah, of course, And so Mother Malia is going to talk about it's all about the money. Yeah, but it's not. But yeah, we're going to talk about that today, and it's going to be phenomenal. Now, Jennifer goes really fully these days by Mother Malia, but I just want to let you guys know that up front, because that's what I'm going to be addressing her, and she could talk about what that's all about herself. I'll let her explain. Okay, but Mother Malia, I'm so grateful to have you here today.
Oh, wonderful. And with an intro like that, how could I not feel like a spiritual rock star?
Yes, all right. I love that. Oh, fantastic. Oh, wow. And I've experienced Jennifer's work directly in a powerful way, which I'll get into more later. But let me tell you more about Jennifer. Jennifer Longmore is an award-winning 8+ figure CEO, 11-time best-selling author, and founder of the #1 Akashic Record Training School in the world. Over the past 20 years, her school has certified over 100,000 consultants in over 100 countries and has been translated into 5 languages. She created her 8-figure plus new Earth empire by channeling the exact moves to take to create it with ease. And she's really good at dialing in this stuff. She is honored to teach others how they can use their channel to be of high service, to take the guesswork out of how to build a highly profitable new Earth empire too. She's the clear channel for Mother Malia, as I alluded to earlier, the great mother who comes to Earth during times of great transition, like the collective ascension we're experiencing right now. She is here to restore the original codes of the land of the people, to reawaken the gold codes as they were intended, and support as many light leaders as possible, elevate into their sacred mission, and allow in millions to fuel the spread of their sacred gifts. Yes, when she is not channeling and providing high-level strategic guidance to light leaders, you can find her enjoying trips with her family and hikes with her dog and tending to her 100+ rare plant collection.
Yes.
Oh, it's just fantastic.
Oh,
The Mother Malia.
yes.
Yes, my God, when I first, I've got to tell this story. This story is really, you haven't heard this story. So one night I woke up like I do sometimes at 3 in the morning, and I was like, oh boy, I don't think I'm gonna fall back asleep. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to my computer, and I've had some interesting experiences at times at 3 in the morning getting on my computer. So I'm like, I want to have an interesting experience. I want to connect with somebody that's really interesting. So somehow I ended up on Facebook, and all of a sudden I was scrolling around, just pittering around, following my guidance, I guess. And all of a sudden, like, I found you on there, and we've connected in the past. I think we were Facebook friends or something in the past. But also, I was like, oh, okay, I think I know her, right? But then I reached out to you, and I think, like, whenever I finally did find you and we started talking, like, I think you were on there already. You're like, yeah, hey, I thought you were already friends, and we started connecting right away. And then, like, for over the next few weeks or however long it's been since that time, like, I just been like, wow, I've just been gaining so much just by the frequency of even like your
Yeah.
posts, and then coming to your event and everything, and the things you share. And it's unique. It's so unique, the frequency and the way you approach it, and I learning so much.
Oh,
You know, and I just like, okay, I mean, I wanted to join your program, but I always listen to what my guidance tells me in the moment, even if it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, I'm not
yeah,
getting to do it right this second. So like I haven't done anything yet on that
yeah.
level, but I've been doing these steps with you, and it's been phenomenal. So I give you start with a testimonial. I feel like my business
Oh,
is skyrocketing, expanding as a result. You know, I do want to take next steps when I'm guided to anchor and expand it greatly. But I
yeah.
just want to just say I appreciate your work so much.
Oh, well, thank you. And you're right. I had not heard that story, but that is very delightful, isn't it? I love that as well. When you say, why am I being guided to go on social media right now? And then the very thing you need to see is right at the top, usually.
Right. Exactly. So,
Yes.
oh my God. And the reason why I woke up is because, yeah, it's probably in part due to money stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Because I had gone, as you sort of know about this, is I used to have an academy for invincible healers, and had it for a number of years, and it's, pretty good business, like a multiple six-figure business. And then 2017, I just got the guidance to stop it. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I've been asking for something new, so I guess this is why. And then I've
Yeah.
been doing other things, since, not so much energy scan training. And then this year it's just like, it's time to go again, energy scan training.
Yeah.
And so, but in that time period, the money way down, right? And so it's
Yeah.
been challenging, but so yeah, that was one of the things. And then you're a teacher, because I've connected with your students. One of them talks about that's the subject. It's all about the money from your transmission.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, it's all about the money, because when I'm actually not about the money, it's all about the money in a way. Like the money is pouring in, when I'm not less about the money, and I'm all about what you talk about, which is giving maximum impact and service, right, in the world in a way that's really connected. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of still going on and on. But
Yeah.
anyway, but Mother Malia, I know you're here to be this contribution to me and so many other people, so many other light leaders. Um, Tell us more about that journey. How did you come
Oh,
to be with the being that used to
yes.
be known as Jennifer? Like,
Yeah. So thank you very much. Yes, I still have my human memories, by the way. That is why, for
Mhm,
example, when you reach out
mhm.
to chat, I already knew we were connected. I have a memory like an elephant, but I don't, my brain will not work the same as it used to it. And I will just share this for everyone because each of us are so used to our brain working a certain way. We just take it for granted. But now I have, I know how to use the brain, but I cannot use the brain that way anymore. You understand what I
Yeah,
mean?
totally. I totally get that.
Yes, and so the sweet sequencing of the way my brain will work now is just very different because you see, I'm living in neutrality and above, so I cannot be really anything other than the present moment. And so trying to run a business with this new brain and this new way of being has been very interesting as well. So I feel you, Daniel, on when we get guided to move things around and try new things, sometimes it can be a lot, but. Yes, I grew up, my parents took me for my first past life regression when we were 3, 4 years old, or when I was 3 or 4 years old. And I was channeling back then. I will have the adults at this retreat, I suppose I will call it. It will be similar to if you have gone to Abraham Hicks, my parents went to someone like that. But I
Mhm.
also had a reading, and the adults, back then, supervision of children was very different. And so they just left me with the adults all day, and they will come up and say, hello, little girl, where do you think we came from? And I will say, and I will channel, and the adults will start to flock around me. But I learned in my human that people get very uncomfortable when you know things that they don't know themselves consciously. And so
Mhm.
I said, "Oh my goodness, people feel really awful in my presence. There must be something wrong with me, or I must be doing something to hurt them." So I spent a great many years censoring myself, and I'm sure many people can relate to that because I was not aware that I was saying anything to them they didn't know. But Malia, anyways, has been with me my whole life. But about 6 days before I became Mother Malia, I was at a private horse retreat, and I said, "You know what? I enjoy having a eight-figure company, but all I want to do now is get paid $1 million a month to channel 24/7. And that
Wow.
is an example of be careful what you wish for. Uh, so 6 days later, I was in the middle of my retreat. I had sold out a retreat in Sedona. And these are all clients that I knew very well. So it was wonderful for many reasons. One is that they were awake and aware enough to be able to handle this, to be able to literally, we all went to bed on night 3. I went to bed as Jennifer in the middle of the night. They were all starting to wake up because they felt me become Mother Malia. People that would normally sleep till 8:30 were waking up at 4 in the morning and they were telling me this. But in the middle of the night, I was woken up and I was talking to myself, but it wasn't me. And then she had me go into the bathroom so I could look at myself and channel and ask her questions. And I know that might sound a little bit crazy, but um, I said, okay, well, what is your name? She said, Mother Malia, the Great Mother. And I said, okay, well, what is happening here? Are you just visiting? I was asking all of these kind of questions, but I already knew she was here to stay. And I said, well, why are you coming in now? What is this? Is a very forceful way to come in. It's a very, boom, she just landed the rocket ship, right in the bed. And she said, well, there's impending doom on the planet. We have to get to work. And 6 days later, the bombing started in Israel.
Mm.
Yes. And
Wow.
so much of this work had already started. I was 10 years ago, I led a retreat in Greece and I was having bees swirl around my head like a crown or landing on my wedding finger. And they will just sit there for hours. So I was already getting anointed. Interestingly, Mother Malia. Now, the history, of course, we know is already distorted because we know, who controls the history. But if we know that the last time Mother Malia was here was what will be reported as 12,000 BC, but no, it was really, it was just quite some time ago, let's put it that way. But she had such a great stewarding of the bees because the bees are creation. And so eventually they named the bee a Malia bee after her. And the Malia bee is very popular in Greece. So no wonder I was guided to go to Greece back then 10 years ago. And so guess where I will be going this year?
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today.
Greece.
Yes.
I'm half Greek, but so that's a fun fact.
Oh, that's lovely. Yes. Have you been to Greece?
I haven't been, but it's somewhere I do want to
Oh,
go before my days are done.
yes. Oh, yes. It is a wonderful country. The people are very lovely there, and bless them because unless you're going to a very, very small village, and even at that, they probably speak English, but because they rely so heavily on the tourism, especially the cruise ships, it is very common for you to meet someone that lives there that is speaking at least 6 languages, sometimes up to 10 different languages fluently.
Wow, that always blows my mind. Yeah, I'm lucky to
Yes.
speak one language fluently.
Yes, I cannot even speak English well.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
So,
So good. Now I know I've got a little bit of the origin story. I did listen to a video where you were talking, like the 6 month later video. I actually took
oh,
that
yes.
entire video and you didn't get deep into the story of how this happened, but
Oh,
you guys were talking, you were saying, all of a sudden it was hard to be human. And that part of it, I
yes.
remember that very clearly.
Yeah.
Wow, so I didn't know that. So really, this has not been a thing, and it was happening until fully at this level whatsoever. This is very. I didn't know that. I thought, well, maybe she was around, and all of a sudden fully came through at some point. But this is more of all at once,
Oh,
as you're saying.
no, yes. Some people will
Wow.
say the best way to describe it will be similar to a walk-in, but it is not
Mhm.
because it is my highest ascension point.
Mhm.
And so here's what I think you might find interesting, Daniel, is that
Mhm.
my sun sign before on my old birthday was a Virgo.
Oh.
And the Virgo is ultimately the journey is divine perfection. Well, you already know that Mother Malia is all about divine perfection. And so I have a long-standing client who's also my astrologer, and she said, why don't we do another chart? Why don't we do a chart on Malia? I thought, oh yes, goodness, I had not thought about that. Now, keep in mind, I don't need astrology. You get what I'm saying, but I thought,
Right.
well, it would be interesting to see if there are any nuances around dates that are going to be good for me this year, etc.
Mhm.
And sure enough, of course, I'm now a Libra because my birthday is October 1st,
Mhm.
but my rising sign is Virgo.
Wow.
So now I'm
Oh,
bringing divine perfection in as the thing that is elevating the Libra and the mastery of the Libra.
wow. Yeah, I don't, you're right. I don't follow astrology much at all, but I find it to be fascinating when I do tap into it. But yeah, that's phenomenal. That's a good idea. You got to tap into the chart of Mother Malia now.
Yes, exactly. So, but yes, the origin story is now, I'm going to say this for a reason because many people get nervous about channeling, and I don't blame them, frankly, because I do believe there will be many people that are in mental health institutions that are similar to me because
Yeah,
they
I
were
used to work with them.
misunderstood.
I used to work
Yes.
with them.
Yes, they are not
Hmm.
believed, or it really can, if you are not regulated, can actually also make you kind of lose your mind a little bit. Of course, I say that with love. And but I was very fortunate that I had 15 people witnessing this, so they will see that, oh no, she is not crazy. This is
Right.
real. They have been with me ever since, and they see that I am consistent. If you were to
Right.
meet me in person, I will be just like this in
Right.
person, probably a little more hyper, frankly.
Right.
And um, but yes, even my human, at times my human will say, oh, can I just have a 1 hour lunch break? Can I just shut this off? I have tried to shut it off, not because I don't like her and not
Yeah.
because I don't like the experience, but I have no choice but to get used to it because it's literally 24/7.
Yeah.
And but no, I don't get an hour off just to be human. So when you were talking about that, yes, when I first became Maya, I felt in a lot of ways like a newborn baby. I had all of my human experience.
Uh-huh.
In the back of my brain, I knew how to drive a vehicle. I knew how to, brush my hair or whatever. But even now, I will not drive on a major highway because I'm in the present moment and every single item fascinates me. When I am driving, I let my husband drive because everything is so fascinating to me. I take joy in everything that on a big highway, how will I possibly be able to stay focused when I am so fascinated by everything that's driving? So I say, I better not do that. But I have probably driven, in the past 7 months, maybe 15 times or so, but I didn't even drive for probably the first 3 months, I will say. I just didn't feel comfortable doing it. And then
Mhm.
I took my husband out with me and we went into a very, dirt road. I said, oh, okay, I have muscle memory. This is good. I can do this. But I also have compassion for children. I now look at my son and I think of some things. I think, oh, bless him. He was just literally learning how to be human. And I
Yeah.
really now understand that on a very different level.
Mhm. Wow. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yes.
So yeah, because I know you were in Sedona, and I have been to Sedona a couple of times, leading some retreat type of things myself, and I know what it's like there, and I know profound things can happen in a place like that. So it totally makes sense to me. I'm like, oh, of course it happened. Like I don't
Yeah.
sit here and think, yeah, it's probably just one of those gimmicks. Like this,
Yes,
this is next
exactly.
level business growth strategy.
Oh, yes. And it was frankly the perfect place for me to become Malia because when the ladies took me out to get turmeric tea and other such things, uh, I fit right in Sedona. Going to the tea shops and the crystal shops. But yes, even the people at the workshop thought, I did not realize they thought this because for me, I knew she was not going away. But they thought, oh, maybe this is a spontaneous thing that just needed to
Yeah.
happen in Sedona and then it will go away, or maybe she will just learn how to channel it. But yes, it has been interesting. And one thing I know people will be thinking this, oh, how did your husband handle it? Well,
Yeah. Yes.
um, I will share, and I say this playfully, of course. My husband is a very matrix loving man, and I'm very much not in the matrix, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, uh-huh.
Prior to Malia coming in, I was pretty vocal about some things about how the world is being operated and such.
Mhm.
But even though he is not on the same page as me as far as perhaps understanding who runs the world and other such things, he is I could feel him in Sedona when this was happening, because when it first happened, I was singing most of my words, and I did not know how to use the voice box, so I was also very loud, and so I will try to text him. I thought I would like to just leave him a Voxer message. Well, I couldn't even keep it in. I could not even speak normal, and but I could feel him rising to the occasion. I could feel him in his consciousness saying, "Oh, this is why we are together." And so I thought, well, I don't know what's going to happen. Bless him. He did not sign up for this, consciously in his human. As much as I will not want to say goodbye to him, I do want him to be happy. And if this is too much for him or just not what he signed up for, I really genuinely will be happy for him if he needs to move on. I did not know what would happen in the beginning. And we already had a very strong relationship. He is my person. He is my best friend. And it has only gotten a million times stronger, if you can believe it.
Somehow I can. I was like, I think, based on
Yes.
maybe some of your comments, but I just had a feeling like, yeah, he's just like, okay, it is what it is. Like, it's kind of how I
Yes.
was perceiving it anyway.
Yes. Well, I think too, because when I first met him, I did not need to meet someone that did things that I do, back then, Akashic Records, other such things. But I did know that I needed someone that was open-minded and curious. In fact, it's kind of enjoyable to be with someone that doesn't talk about the woo all the time, because same with you, when you live and breathe it, you don't need to, talk about it forever and ever. But he has been wonderful, and I will be flying out west with him this summer to go and see his family. Now, they kind of know, because I forgot that they stalk me. I say that playfully on Facebook. And I made some videos in Aruba of our special time there. And right away, my in-laws were commenting on the video and kind of alluding to the fact that they could see I had changed, because it's very obvious I have changed. And so I suppose, I guess I will find out, but I will say the one thing that I am still learning how to do is be out in public. Like, I don't feel comfortable traveling yet. Because I am, like I said, I literally at the airport, I'm fascinated with everyone. I will just go right up to the TSA agents and speak to them. And so I need to kind of have a handler, I suppose. It has been my husband the last few times, because I don't want them to detain me because they think that I'm not well, because I'm really just very
Right.
friendly. That is all.
Right.
But it has been interesting to be out in public, because Malia is like a full moon. She has a very big energy, as you know.
Right.
And so there are times I might go into the grocery store and I will be easily 20 feet from people, and some people will spin around out of nowhere and give me the evil eye, so to speak. I know they are feeling the force field of my energy. And if they are not regulated inside, it will literally feel like a full moon in their body. Other people I can see, they recognize me, on a energetic level, and they will kind of smile and look at me. But most people, I see them looking at me saying, did she have a stroke? Is that why her face is doing that? Is she on drugs? Is she mentally unwell? I see them kind of look at my husband like, bless him. Isn't it nice that he is with her, kind of thing. It's that they don't know what to make of me, and I'm okay with that. But as you know, Daniel, I have to stay in neutrality. I can't, I don't force it. I just cannot be in environments that are not neutral. And so when I'm receiving the judgments, I can handle it, of course. But what happens is I start moving energy very quickly. So I almost get a tick-like thing in my face. I'm constantly, blinking to bring the energy back to neutral. And so and I'm not doing that now, by the way, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And so I'm still learning to, but once I feel a little more integrated, I suppose will be the best way to say it, then being out in public will probably be a lot easier.
Yes. I mean, I haven't experienced what's happening with you, within you, but I've had enough of a glimpse of such things to kind of relate a little bit. When you've had those big samadhis or whatever, and like It's like, yeah, hey, you feel like you see no
Yeah.
limits to just being in joy and love. Like I actually felt that way, like many of us do as children, right? As we're little children, like we're like,
Yeah.
hey, you want to be that way, but you're like, I don't know what's safe, and
Yeah.
so I could relate to what you're talking about in that regard, and would think, yeah, because the human mind is around still, that yeah, there's that's still processing and integrating and everything, and so yeah, I could see that happening with like, okay, I'm in neutrality, but the this stuff is in there, and your process,
Yes.
it's like a lot of integration, I
Yes.
guess. So
Yeah.
wow. And so what's so fascinating to me, I didn't really know you in the past. So I've only known you this way, in a deeper way, you know what I mean, more direct
Yeah.
way. And so I guess it's like, when did this whole thing, because we got the topic today, I want to go to that.
Yeah.
It's all about the money. Did that come from you, Mother Malia, or did it come back
Oh,
where it's been around a long time, or is this the
yes.
whole idea? Yeah.
Yes. Well, Malia has been with me the whole time. It's
Right,
just that
right.
now she controls the mouth.
Okay, okay.
And
Mhm,
but yes, it was in I didn't even find out, by the way, until 2020 when I had a chart done because I felt this urgency come over me. I think you can relate to that. Probably many of
mhm,
you listening can of,
mhm,
oh, it's actually here. All of these
mhm,
things I've been hearing about for 20 years. It's oh, okay, we're in it. And I just felt this immense pressure
mhm,
to I felt like I was not doing enough. I
mhm,
had so many people flocking to me, especially clients from many, many years ago, because as you know, I've been doing this for 20 years. And they
mhm,
said, if anyone's going to know what's happening in the world, it's going to be Jennifer at the time. That's how I was identifying.
mhm,
And so I was one of the fortunate ones that was very, very busy. My business skyrocketed, not because that was my goal, of course, in 2020, 2021, 2022. Um, but anyways, I had an astrology chart done and she said, well, yes, you're here to elevate wealth consciousness. That was the first time I had ever heard that.
Wow.
So no
Wow.
wonder all of the years prior, I had been guided to learn how to invest in the stock market and learn how to get into the real estate market and learn how to build assets and learn how to study business. I had always been fascinated with money as a kid, not because I needed to have more.
Mhm,
Perhaps I was a little curious as to why people seem to fight over it all the time. And, why do you want this thing that's causing you so many problems, sort of thing, you don't understand. But I was
mhm,
just very fascinated with touching money, playing with it. I loved helping out at garage sales, just handling the money.
mhm, mhm,
Even when I got jobs in high school, I loved jobs that had me working the cash register. I did not like the jobs so much that had me doing other things. And um, and then when I graduated university, I went in to be a forensic investigator for many years. I was a public servant that was underpaid. That's how I got curious about money. I said, oh my goodness, I can barely pay my bills. I'm either just above the line or just below the line every month. How will
mhm,
I ever, if I have to do this for another 40 years, how is this a life? The
mhm.
only way out of this is to win the lottery or to get in a relationship and share the expenses. And I thought, I don't want, because many people do, as you know, they will get into
Yes,
relationship out of lack and out of
yes.
necessity. I knew I
Mhm,
didn't want a roommate, so I thought, goodness. And by then I had already had my Reiki mastery. But it took me a little bit of time to take the leap and trust the net will catch me. And then I went into the private sector and I was doing sexual harassment investigations and anti-discrimination and so on in a very large corporation. And and I am not suited for a corporate culture. Oh goodness, that was not a good fit for me. But the gift of that was that it allowed me to regulate my nervous system from such a chaotic job, of course, before, just doing very, very intense investigations.
mhm,
And side note, that is also where I had my cognitive dissonance bubble burst. You only have to investigate so many police officers, teachers, lawyers, judges, mayors, etc., to say, hey, the people that we have been conditioned to trust perhaps are not always the most trustworthy people. Of course, many
mhm,
are wonderful, but my point is that served me well for 2020. But anyways, I finally took the leap and trust the business would catch me 20 years ago. And all I did, like you said, is I focused on contribution. I was not focused on the money. I was still in the brain of I just need enough to make to get by. That's all I wanted to make sure, is that I will not go into debt serving other people, and that I will not have to go back and get a job. And I went to the bank, and it probably happened before the 10-month mark, because this was back in the day where you had to go to in-person networking, list yourself on directories. We did not have social media back then. And I went to the bank to deposit cash, because most of what I was getting paid was in cash. And there was 6 figures in the bank. And I thought I was going to pass out, actually. It was very stressful for me. And that might sound strange, but when you are not used to having that much money, I call it the hot potato syndrome. There's this panic it can set over. We say, oh, I have to get this out of my hands as soon as possible. So I thought, I made very great money that year. Of course, I was working very hard for it, but it was because I was just focused on how can I help the people.
Yes.
And that has always been my philosophy. So all of that to say that I was so uncomfortable. I said, I really need to get to the bottom of why this is so uncomfortable for me, because everything about business involves a money conversation. You have to pay vendors, you have to ask for the sale, you have to chase people for money if they don't pay you, you have to have money available to pay your web hosting company. I mean, there's, as you know, there's no avoiding money. Plus, the whole purpose of a business is to make money and be profitable. It's not meant to be an expensive hobby, because the hobbies are hobbies. This is a business. It's meant to be profitable. And so, of course, over time, I evolved, and I will still evolve with money, because it is a very dynamic energy. But one of the things I think that will hold us back, and I'm sharing this for a reason, getting to the point of our show today, Daniel, is that when I decided to finally be an impeccable steward of my business and charge what I was worth and what I was bringing to the table, and stop, selling so much of my time to the point that I didn't have my own life. I was doing readings 12 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. I had a few clients, of course, that enjoyed the fact that I was affordable. They said, "Oh, you've changed. You're all about the money." And I thought, oh, and that stung, because I thought, oh goodness, here I have literally built a business that is not at all focused on the money.
Right.
And yet, and it doesn't happen so much now, but every so often, even last year before I became Malia, I was hiring some VAs in the morning. One morning, this woman canceled very last minute. She said, "I'm not going to work for a company like yours. How dare you profit off of people's consciousness, etc." And I thought, okay, that is your own projection, that is your opportunity. But the thing is, and I even wrote, after I became Malia, I said, look, I'm going to be carrying on the money conversation. And you might think, well, you're all about the money. And the thing is, I'm not all about the money, you are. Meaning that is just such a common topic for everyone, whether they have it or not. It takes up so much mental real estate for people. So who is the one making it all about the money?
Right. Exactly. And it's funny that, I got that same comment from not a client, but I got that comment from a colleague, somebody who was in a program with me or something, and they were chatting amongst themselves. It was a little tiny group, and this person's at the time I was starting to really expand and going at whatever 6 figures and all that stuff, like starting to expand, and because they weren't expanding, it was pretty obvious why they're saying what they're saying. She just said the same thing. She says, "Oh, he's all about the money." Like as if it was a bad thing. Like, oh, of course I'm all about the money, like in a sense, right? And yet I'm not, right? I mean, you have to be. You have to be. I mean, like, why are you even in business? Like you kind of what you were saying in a way, but like, what are you doing? I mean, of course it's got to be about the money at some level. I mean, but then again, I find like the foundation is not that it's about the money. I would say it's the extremely important details, kind of how I look at, like, just to let the money come in. You need to attend to this detail, to this thing. But yeah, you have an extremely you've developed an extremely expanded consciousness, it seems to me anyway, around money, that I don't see in other people, even other people that are really billionaires or whatever, like have a lot of money. But you have this this lightness about,
Mm.
and it's the best way I could say it. It's much more than that, but like this lightness with the energy of
Yes.
money that you've brought yourself into after it wasn't that way, obviously, for whatever amount of
Oh,
time.
yes. And I'm so grateful I had those experiences because
Mhm.
I do believe that each of us tap into a continuum of energy that we're here to master. And so it is not from a place of punishment that we have some experiences on the other end of the continuum, I will say. Let's say for many people that become healers, they are often they are sick. Maybe they have a physical illness or something happens that they're healing from. They need to understand what it's like to be on the receiving end of healing so that when they move to I'm going to be the healer part of the healer continuum, they have some of those nuances mastered.
Mhm.
But yes, I think what I would like to share is a very broad perspective because Amalia is well, she will say many things about money. One of them is that money is a consciousness, of course. We are here to expand consciousness. It can be a very spiritual experience, actually, to do the dance with money. And I do believe, Daniel, to your point, that's why perhaps I am lighter around money than perhaps other people might be, because I just say, "Oh, money, what are you teaching me today?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
how are we going to evolve today?" But money, we are here to create and to experience. And both of those things allow us to evolve, but it gives us the wisdom then to also share with other people to evolve the collective, collective consciousness, collective humanity, et cetera, et cetera. We simply are wired that we are always creating, always experiencing. So it's a matter of what am I creating and what am I experiencing? But money is an experience, but it is also a tool that creates and creates experiences. So it literally is just as much a part of growing food, developing social friendships and all of the things. And so if we are looking at, okay, we are light leaders, and even if you feel like, oh, I don't even want to learn that, I just feel like I'm so disconnected from that. The truth is that money is the language that is spoken here. That is the language that is spoken on the planet. And if we are here to help the humans, then we must learn the language that they speak so that we can help them. You will see my post, Daniel. That is not how Malia speaks, but that is how I need to speak on the social media because I have to use the language of the people in order for them to stop and listen so they can come in and have the harmonic exchange that they're meant to have with me.
Yes. Yes, because I mean it is interesting. That is what the was so interesting is you're one of the best people I've seen at being very consistent in your message. You're very consistent. A lot of people think, well, let's do a new message, let's keep hitting it from all these different angles. And when I've been most successful, this is a marketing kind of thing, sort of, but I found my marketing is more successful when you like many marketers out there in the big businesses, when you keep hitting the same thing that just resonates, right? And so you keep
Yes.
saying things like, this will cap your income. This will, what the different things look. So when I think of you and as a marketer, as somebody that's out there talking about money, I always think about, because it's not a term everybody uses all the time, but you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's capping your income? And
Yes.
so like I think it's really brilliant. Like people always think they have to keep coming up with all these hundreds of angles, but sometimes when you just keep hitting the same thing again and again, it's super powerful to get through to people.
Well, thank you for sharing that because, yes, there are so many things, as you know, that can cap our income. Trauma being one of them. Trauma is one of the biggest ones, actually.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then, of course, not trusting ourselves, not trusting our channel. That is really, frankly, the biggest one because the reason why trauma and trust go together is because we have to feel safe in order to grow, to take the risks, to put ourselves out there, to be more visible, to allow ourselves to have more, even when others are choosing not to have the same, etc. But really, it comes down to, do I trust myself?
Mhm.
My channel is already trustworthy. It's my job to trust the channel, to honor the
Mhm.
messages. And it's usually, as you know, the ones that make the least amount of sense that are the most important to trust. And so it's my job to trust the channel and to trust myself that, of course, I'm going to be able to make such and such happen. And
Mhm.
so when people can make clearing the trauma and cultivating even greater trust of themselves and their channel. Well, again, I want to be very clear. The channel is trustworthy. It is about, are we trusting the channel? Provided that there is no interference with the channel, and sometimes there is, but let's assume that the channel is clear. We don't have attachments to us, etc. It actually is a very simple formula for growth. But as you know, just living on this planet, just arriving on this planet was traumatic for everyone, because we are beings of light. We got here and said, holy moly, what is this place, And then most likely you had at least one parent, if not both, that did something that was, left an imprint. And then you went to school, and perhaps, there's some teachers or some kids that left an imprint. And then you went to high school, and of course more. And then you get a job and more. And then there's money trauma. There's your first love that breaks your heart, all of the things. We have compound trauma. Then 2020 hit, regardless of what people's perspective was of the world. That in and of itself, just the world shutting down, was traumatic.
Yes.
And then of course the immense calculated, I will just say, military grade divide and conquer that was propagated on the people. I could give you so many lists, and of course now we see these manufactured wars, and we see all kinds of other agendas that are running on the world stage in tandem. And so while I do not focus on that, of course, because there's no point, the great news is that our frequency, especially, I will share in a moment how we can raise our frequency. Our frequency is the purest frequency, and it will override any frequency that can be created by I call them the Slytherins, the little slithery, snaky people. But I don't even judge them, because frankly, they are a very great gift for our ascension as well. I know it doesn't, I can say that because I'm not really saying that in human form anymore, if you understand what I mean. But I will honestly say that we will not have made our ascension such a great priority, but for the pressure cooker that we have been put in.
Right.
We will not, we know this in life in general. We just don't move until we're really uncomfortable a lot of times. And we have been very uncomfortable for the last few years, And so, but point is that the language is the money is spoken here, but also, the money is, when people pay us, it is really about them. We are giving them an opportunity to make an offering, to place value on their growth. To invest in the possibility of their vision, because that's usually what they're wanting to evolve, becoming more of themselves, stepping more into their vision. And some people realize in that journey that, oh, I'm not quite ready for this big move. And so they maybe don't get the results that they want. But what if, as service providers, for those of us that are here today that are providing services, what if we allow people to make a sacred offering to us in exchange for us holding space and pouring our gifts into people in order to support them if they choose to receive our sacred medicine? I will just put it that way.
Yes. Yes. I mean, if from a conceptual mind, if you were in a conceptual mind, it's the best way I can put it. And you were like, okay, I want to laugh. The whole thing is hilarious, but I'm going to just channel Mother Malia or Source or anything or whatever, and people will just throw money at me. Your conceptual mind's going to be like, that is not going to happen, and it shouldn't happen, because that's our conditioned mind. It's going to say that shouldn't be happening, and yet it can be. It's that simple. Like, people will throw their money at you, essentially, in a way, right? I mean, if you just show up in the way you said, you're being that channel. You're whatever you are. You don't have to be a spoken channel of some energy or something that you name, but you're doing your thing, right? You're doing your thing, and you're just trusting your channel. You talk about your money channel, which maybe we can touch on that too, but you're trusting that. And then it applies all the some of the concepts that are put out there about manifestation. You're going to be in no resistance because it just is. Okay, this is just what's happening, right? And then
Yeah.
it's happening. So, and that's what I love about you is you transmit that so well and you teach it so well in so many ways that it puts people in that state. That's why you get really great results for people in their business. Like they just
Yes.
expand very quickly.
Well, this last event that you were in, Daniel, you will have heard someone share that they made 100K in sales just from being in the last free event. You know, they're
That's
not a client
awesome.
of mine. But the reason
Yes.
why that happens is because, well, yes, the transmissions are truth. You know, I'm only speaking into original coding. So when people resonate, or even like you said, they recognize me, the one thing we haven't talked about, by the way, is how come most people don't know about Mother Malia? So instead of asking the question, I've never heard of you, who are you? The better question is, why have I not heard of you? You
Right,
see,
right.
why
Yeah.
is this energy being kept off the world stage? Because you have had enough experience with me to know this is a pure energy. And
Mhm,
and I am here. I am not focused on taking them down. I'm just aware that I will have to on my way to helping restore heaven on earth. And I
mm,
will be going to Venice, likely 2025, and I will be laying my very solid harmonics in Venice when I go. Yeah, so Greece
mm,
was first stop because sadly there are many distortions in Greece.
mhm,
And then the next stop will be Venice.
mhm.
Yes.
Interesting. So
Yes, I
why?
tend to be guided to, well, because that is where the back-facing Slytherins that hide, you know,
I
that
figured
is
that's what
where
you'd
they
say. Yeah.
yes, that is where they reside. And so I'm not going to be spending my energy chasing them. I will be very clear about that. But I have been, even last year, prior to me becoming Malia, I was guided to go to Palm Springs, which made no sense. And oh goodness, was there a lot of concerning things happening in Palm Springs right outside of our hotel room, in the mountain, literal offerings and other such things, which I will not get into because they're very graphic, but it was quite disturbing. As you know, they're becoming more and more brazen in being more visual
Right.
about the ceremonies, or not ceremonies. I will not call them that, or sacrifices. I will call them that, and
Mhm,
very interesting rituals, I suppose I will just call it. But yes, Greece, there are many distortions there that must be cleared up. And I will not be traveling everywhere in the world. I will have to teleport many places, but
mhm,
I will be guided to go some places physically, Greece being one of them, and the next one being Venice.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Um, and so that will be interesting. But yeah, so back to the money, because it is the language spoken here, because everyone listening is, you know, might identify as a light leader, oracle, messenger, or, you know, something along those lines.
Mhm,
Um, whether or not we want to participate in that system, that is the system that is present now as we are straddling both worlds. And
mhm,
so if we want, the best way to help the people is to allow more in, to allow
mhm,
yourself to be fully resourced, which includes financial resourcing, so that we have the money to build the business, to hire the people, to do the marketing, to do sort of the, you know, very human things that are required in business right now, to go and
mhm,
accelerate. You know, money is an accelerator. Money is, if we are looking at gold, it is a currency, and but it is also a conductor, and it is
mhm,
also an amplifier.
mhm,
Right? And
mhm.
so the more we allow that in, the more it can accelerate our mission and so on. But similar to you, and well, what you were saying before, you know, we probably speak the same language, Daniel, because where I get a sense of oh, I am being helpful is through contribution. Some people run a business from a place of significance. They need to be well known, or they need to be in the cool kids club, so to speak, you know.
Right.
And that is okay. Perhaps that is their wiring, and perhaps there are lessons there, so we do not need to judge that.
Mhm,
But um, we want to also look at our character, you know, because if you are solid in your character, then why are we even assuming we're going to become like some of the people that have money that perhaps we don't respect?
yeah. Yeah, I think that is a big thing, right? People,
Yes.
oh, like they're phonies, they're this, they're that, and then you're like, I don't want to be like them, and then you shut out all the money, right? If I don't have money, then I won't be like them.
Yes.
The idea that comes
Uh,
up, yeah.
Recently, I had a woman who was in a free event and she had wanted to work with me and then decided not to, which was fine. But now, then shortly after, she started posting on social media about, I've just been in an event and this woman was all about the money and healer's not all about the money, but she is not making the money she wants. And that is the thing. They are not upset with me. That woman that you were talking about before was not upset with you. They are saying, I want that. And I'm actually mad at myself because I have not been willing to become the version of me that allows that.
Right. That's true.
Yes,
That's
because if we are going to wear the title of light leader and such, and we are going to truly stand in a place of neutrality, then why are we judging other people for what they have? We
right.
judge people for, oh, I have to leave people behind, or I don't want to leave people behind. That's a judgment. Who are we to decide whether someone is behind or ahead or whatever? There is actually quite a significant amount of spiritual arrogance in our community, and that is actually coming from a deep place of I don't know if I'm enough. So it overcompensates, just as people who say, "Oh, who me? I can be a healer." That is spiritual arrogance. People want to be begged, "Oh, you are so wonderful. Please, please show up. The world needs you." We don't need any of that energy anymore. That is not, you see, as you know, Daniel, simply because you have spent time with me, so I'm speaking to everyone as though they will already know this, but I am literally the physical embodiment of what we look like in our original coding and what we're moving back to in the new earth, neutrality and above. Mainly joy. Joy is the highest frequency. And that is how we raise the frequency, our personal frequency, how we raise the frequency on the planet, how we call in more money. But when we are in our original coding, and that's why for people that are very close to having their full original coding awakened, that is why they will recognize me. They will just say there's something about her that's familiar, similar to what you said. I've heard this many times now from people. And I get it because I spend all my days with her too. She is a very enjoyable energy to be around, you know. But in where we are moving to is there you cannot be neutral and be in judgment at the same time. It is impossible.
Right.
And all judgment is we have gone from just observing to making meaning of it. A simple example would be when we are walking into the grocery store and someone walks in front of us and doesn't hold the door open for us. Objectively, in neutrality, we say, oh, that person walked ahead of me and did not hold the door open.
Right.
Judgment is that person was rude.
Right.
That person did that to me.
Right.
Instead of saying, oh, I wonder if that person just found out some really horrible news and they're right out of their body, or they just got fired from their job, or we don't ever let our brain go there. We somehow take it personally. So when we take things personally, or when we make meaning of situations that truly are just objective situations, that is where we step into judgment.
Right. Yeah, that happened with me with you. You know, it happens, right? Like
Yes.
I sent you a voice clip or something. My brain wanted to say, well, it's 30 seconds. Why wasn't she says she won't answer, she won't listen, she doesn't do that. I'm like, what? And I knew right away it's just me. It's just something I'm just being triggered by whatever, you know, whatever, it's my stuff, right? So that's why I didn't let that bother me or other things, you know, that there was a couple other things where I was like, well, why did she do that? You know, like the brain, whoa. And I'm like, okay, she's, you know, I came up with all the reasons anyway. I was like, well, I could see why that would be. I could see like this would be. I knew, but still there's a reactionary part inside of us that can come up. And it's like, okay, no, it's okay. Okay, that's great. I get there's something here for me to learn. There's something here to lean into within the sense of reactivity I'm having around it, which didn't even logically make a lot of sense to me anyway, but because logically I already understood it. So it wasn't that, it was just something being triggered inside of me, right?
Oh,
like, okay.
yes. You know, the
So
best way to describe that is that Well, I get an inordinate amount of voice notes and
Oh,
messages
I'm
throughout
sure.
the
I'm
day,
sure.
and so it
I
is not that
get
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
want to respond to people.
Right.
Oftentimes I can't, when I say I can't listen to this is because it doesn't always come out right, but it's because I have people around me. I can't play the message yet, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But let's just take my parents, for example. My dad and I, well, both of my parents and I were not all that close. We have been getting better over the years. But my dad and I will always have friction. He was not very nice, growing up, and I just kind of decided at a very young age, I don't trust you. I'm going
Mhm.
to keep a wall up. But interestingly, since I've become Malia, he and I have become closer because you see, now I am not judging him. I did not realize. So
Right.
here's what was happening. I will go, oh, I have to see my dad. And he is going to complain about everyone. He is going to gripe. He is going to complain about the neighbors. He is going to want to talk about gas prices and, other such things. And just, talk about news events, bash Trump. I just don't want to hear any of that. So I was
Mhm.
already in judgment before I will see him. Well, then what will happen? I'm not saying it, but I'm holding judgment of him
Right.
and not allowing him to show me any other version of him other than what I'm expecting to see from him. So of course he keeps giving me what I'm expecting.
Right.
But now that I'm Malia, I literally cannot do that. Well, didn't we have the first time I met them in person after this happened? Didn't I have the loveliest visit with him? He didn't say a single negative thing about anyone. He didn't complain about anything. He
Yep.
was spoke to me in a normal voice because many people will speak to me in a baby voice
Mhm.
because they misinterpret my spiritual innocence as childlike, And so, yes,
Mhm.
by the way, Daniel, thank you for talking to me like a normal person. uh, but with my mom, I am not the daughter that she will like me to be.
Mhm.
That is her pattern. She is truly a narcissist, and I say that with love. And
Mhm.
so I am used to not being the daughter that she wants me to be, but this is triggering her. My point is that I fortunately had 20 years to master the art of being misunderstood. And I know everyone in business knows what I mean by that.
Yes.
Uh, but it is interesting because I literally cannot be certain things for people. I'm not deciding I don't want to. I literally cannot. If I cannot
Right.
drive, I
Right.
cannot. It's not a choice to drive. It is that I cannot drive. Or uh, if someone says to me, will you like to go out this weekend? If I'm not getting a very solid yes, I cannot answer
Yes.
that because I literally don't know if I can. And
Right.
it's not an easy thing to explain to people, but yes,
No, I
uh,
totally get it. But it doesn't mean I
yes.
don't have a reactionary part inside me still.
Oh, yes, of course. And
So,
so I'm glad that you brought that up because, as we are going to expand our frequency and keep expanding our light leadership, we do have to get used to the triggers because that is just going to be part of the deconditioning, the deprogramming,
right.
etc. Because we all
Totally.
have the abandonment and rejection wound, and we
Yes.
have the
Yes.
mother and father wound, and we have, I don't like to call it the witch wound, but we have that wound of
Yes.
being a
Yes.
light leader and being persecuted, I will just say, but we
Yes.
tend to know it as
100%.
the witch wound. So we have some of these that we don't even realize they're being triggered, but I have just started to really see even more so now, because with me being called Mother Malia, I am not people's mother. I am more of in this situation, being the great mother is more about being a steward for the planet, being a steward for humanity, being a steward for
Mhm.
consciousness, being a steward for the mission. That is more what it means. But of course, it definitely brings up people's mom issues. And so for some people,
Mhm.
if they had a really bad relationship with their mom,
Mhm.
they want to let me in, and they can feel the energy is pure. There's literally only
Mhm.
love.
Mhm.
But they can't let it in because it's bumping up against the wound that says I cannot trust a mother figure. Whereas for other
Mhm.
people, it has been very therapeutic. So back, by the
Mhm.
way, to why people are having such quick results being with Mother Malia is because when when is neutral and above, it is only neutral, love, joy, etc. Then people can fully be seen, Most people are not used to being fully seen
That's
and
for
being
sure.
and being fully seen without judgment. I don't see
Mhm.
all of these things from people's past about when they did what in their mind they think I did too many drugs, or I did this thing, or I had an affair, etc. Whatever, they might be judging themselves. I don't see any of that. I only see them in their original coding. And then
Right.
being able to see people in that, they're able to fully remember themselves. And then, of course, they feel safe enough in that environment to grow because I mean, as you know, as humans, because I remember this too, we are masters of being able to judge ourselves. It is my
Oh
job.
yeah.
People work with me to remind you, no, here's what's wonderful about you, and here's why you are the perfect person to work with these type of clients. And here's, it is my job to because people have that part covered. You can judge yourself till you're blue in the face. Um, so you don't need my judgment. What you need is a safe place to
Mhm.
feel fully seen and held and feel neutral. So
Mhm.
that so in that space though, you are now tapped into the field of possibility and the field of imagination, which allows for creation, allows for experiences.
Yes, yes, yes. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Well, man, there's so much more that I'd love to get into, but yet, yeah, our time is getting shorter here
Yes.
for our time container. So I would love for you to share with people. I know you had a free gift for
Oh,
people to
yes.
receive. Yeah, I'd love for you to share that if this is a good time.
Yes, I would love to. So, I went to work right away, actually, when I became Malia. I was told very clearly I had to write a book, so I did, and it has finally
Mhm.
been published. They turned it around very quickly for me. It is called Daily Messages from Mother Malia, the Great Mother, and it is, it's one of those things where you will just flip open a page and there will be a message for you, but there are
Mhm.
365 messages in that book. But those similar messages are transmitted to your inbox every day just for free. And
Mhm.
they're little basically love notes, I will say, from Mother Malia, about
Mhm.
just reminding you of what the truth is, helping you remember who you really are. Imagine getting messages or notes from the universe or whatever that is called. It will be a similar thing. And
Yes.
so I know you're going to provide the link for that, but yes, that is free to join that. And
Mhm.
then people seem to appreciate that. It's very rare we have people get upset about that. Usually we are being thanked for those, because in my human I will say, oh, I don't really want to message people every day. But in this case, they like those messages. I don't do marketing messages every day, but
Mhm.
people like those messages. So yes, and that, of course, then allows you to stay connected as well, because as you know, Daniel, I host free events pretty commonly, and it is my joy, my honor to do that. And it's always about money because it doesn't help, by the way, that the Slytherins are really transmitting a lot of frequencies right now, and a lot of false information, and a lot of manipulation of the market to get people thinking, oh, this is happening with the economy, that is not happening with the economy,
Right.
and other such things, not to mention the depression frequencies and other such things that I know you will be picking up in your very powerful energy scan to see, oh, what is coming through the devices right now that is changing the mood, or there will be, as you know, waves. We will see it in the consciousness. There will be a wave of suicidal ideation that will come over the collective, and then maybe there will be, depression. Maybe then there will be friction. Not that long ago, we saw they will send out consuming frequencies as well. We will see consumerism pick up. People will say, "I'm spending all this money out of nowhere. I don't know why," but you will hear it from multiple people because they are literally manipulating the frequencies. And so this is why it is very important for me to host these regularly, is my point, because um, our frequency is always going to override if we can really allow ourselves to get into joy as often as possible.
Mhm.
The potency of joy is it cannot be replicated, and it will absolutely override the frequency manipulations that they are doing.
Mhm.
They will never ever be able to replicate this frequency.
I love when you share that because it's so true. I
Yes.
mean, this is something I haven't jumped in on this particular aspect, but I will for just a minute today. It's like this is a big part of my mission, is very much in tandem with what you're up to. I mean, I've always thought for many years, I'm like, yeah, these beings are going to need to be dealt with. I've actually had one of them come to me and say, hey, want to join our team, right? I mean, I don't know if that's come up for you
Yes.
before, but I'm like,
Yes, I
oh,
have been.
thanks, I'm not available.
Yes.
And yes,
Yes. Might I share something about that, Daniel? Will you
yeah,
be
sure,
okay
yes,
with that?
yeah,
Yes.
sure.
You know, one of their I suppose rules of engagement is fame. And so that is why they put famous people on the world stage. That is why
Yes.
they use fashion to hook us in. That is why they will do all kinds of things to social engineer and other such things. But fame is a big part because that is how they hook people through significance. But you see, that's why you and I cannot be hooked because we are about contribution, not significance.
Right.
And so I have been scouted a few times. And at the time I thought, oh, there's something about this, but I didn't fully know, you know, what I of course know now. But I was years ago, it was about 2012, I was working with a woman, and I will share a little bit about it, but I was working with a woman who was coaching with a very popular woman. And so I said, well, why will I coach with that woman? I will just coach with this billion-dollar woman, not realizing that if you get to $1 billion, there's probably some things you had to do to compromise to get there. You know, if you were not already owned, you know, if you get to $1 billion there and you weren't already part of their system, you will have had to do something. But what they're hoping, what they look for is up and comers. So for example, with you having such a popular podcast, they say, oh, I bet you this guy is all about the significance. I bet you he wants to be famous. Let's see if we can get him on board. And so anyways, we were actually in talks to do a TV show. They wanted me to do a reality TV show on money about that back at that time. And I did not like the idea of the TV treatment. It did not feel good to me. I'm very big on integrity. If anyone knows human design, my old human design when I was Jennifer was 6-2 generator. And the 6 line is very much about being the role model, very much about having standards, integrity, etc. And so I was well into that journey. I was in talks with Hay House to do a book, and the book was dependent upon the show and vice versa. I had already found my supporting cast to help with the thing. We were already starting to advertise for people to come on the show. And then they changed the TV treatment at the last minute. I said, I'm happy to go through the show because I want to help people. I was not at all about the fame. I said, I was really nervous about losing my privacy, frankly. And all of a sudden, she stopped talking to me. She will not return any of my calls or anything because I think in that moment, looking back, for all of those years, I thought, what? I thought we were buddies. We were both vegan. She, you know, we laughed, et cetera, et cetera. I'm getting to my point here. And for years, I thought, what did I do? Did she never get my message? Like, what happened? Well, then, you know, once I really, really started to allow myself to see the truth of the situation, I said, well, no wonder. First of all, Malia will have been protecting me. But of course she was upset with me because she could see that I was not going to be seduced by fame.
Right.
But here is the thing that I have noticed. You will notice this with JP Sears. You will notice this with Robin Sharma. You will notice this with David Icke. You will notice this with all of these deceivers that have infiltrated our world of consciousness. And I'm happy to call them all out, by the way, because if you are listening right now to me, you are welcome to have a public conversation with me and prove that you are not owned if you are listening to this. But they all say things that we resonate with.
Yes.
But they have this very subtle disdain for humans in their voice that you can hear. It is an arrogance. It is a disgust or a disdain that you can hear. It is subtle, but it is strong enough that you can hear it in the voice. And I'm not saying everyone that has that will be owned, but what I'm saying is once people are clearly very, very popular on the world stage, and they show up that way, that is at least when we want to start asking questions and saying, okay, there's something in this voice here. There's a harmonic in this voice that is not feeling very yummy to my heart right now.
Right. Right. Yeah, I
Yes.
like JP Sears. There was a time when I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of good stuff. Or and then after a
Yes.
while, I'm like, God, he's just constantly toxic. He's just constantly toxic, is how I see it. You
Well,
know, it's
he's got orange hair and a purple shirt. Hello, hello, Freemason. I'm
yeah,
just being
yeah,
playful, but no, really,
yeah,
look at how quickly he went viral. We know who controls the
yeah.
amount of views on YouTube. I have been at this business for 20 years. You can all check out my profiles.
Mhm.
If just doing good work in the world was enough to go viral and to have
Mhm.
tons of followers, I will have already had them. There's a reason why I don't have as many.
Yeah.
And there is a reason why he is because even though he is
Mhm.
calling out things on the world stage, he is still got a remarkable amount of views, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
he does.
And so yes, I back a few years ago, I did a webinar called Decoding the Matrix so that you can outcreate it.
Mhm.
And I revealed a lot of the deceivers because, frankly, I take great exception to the consciousness is such a delicate, delicate flower, if I were to use that as a metaphor.
Mhm.
And so, of course, every single industry has been infiltrated, but there is something about infiltrating consciousness and hijacking, because think about what happens when you are first awakening. What is the first company that you become aware of to buy books?
Right. Well, yeah, I
To,
don't know. Different
right?
ones. I don't know which one are you
Yes.
thinking of.
Well, Hay House.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that is
Mhm.
not to say that everything is bad. They will offer
Yeah.
wonderful things there, and there are some people I'm sure that are attached to that are not owned. Mind Valley, another one. So I've just woken up. I'm a little bit nervous. Where do I go for
Mm,
information?
right, right.
And
Interesting.
oh, look at this! This just happens to be here, and every millions of people have bought this book. So this must be a good
Mhm.
book for me to learn how to
Right,
develop my
right.
intuition.
Gotta be good. Yeah. We could go on and on. There's so many we could point to, right? Yeah, I
Yes,
think you exactly is you've got this amazing new earth empire and yet you do not have on social media, for example, from what I've seen, an enormous following at all. So I think
yes,
yeah, that they're definitely. And then on YouTube I've seen you too. You don't have hardly anything on YouTube right now. I mean, from what I've seen, as far as
no,
like your current channel, I don't know if you have other ones, um, but yeah, you've reached a lot of people, and
yes.
so yeah, we could go on. And I just want to respect your time because I know we had a time container that you
Oh,
wanted us
yes.
to respect. So,
Oh
but,
no, it's wonderful. We can still chat for a few minutes if you
okay,
feel that we need
okay,
to, but it did feel important to share that about
perfect.
being scouted, because that
Yeah.
we're seeing more and more in our world of consciousness, even where it doesn't seem, we kind of have the quote unquote rock stars in the transformational space, Mr. 33-degree Freemason Robbins, other such people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who even knows? He is probably, frankly, above that by now. And so we
Mm-hmm.
have those very well-known names, but we have a lot of up and comers,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and it doesn't mean all of them are. Oh, look at that. Oh, got the
Did the
balloons.
balloons.
Yes. Uh, but when you will also know there are some of them you will see a complete shapeshift, like JP Sears completely shapeshifted his body,
Yeah. Yeah.
seemingly around the same time that he was really starting to buddy up with Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, but we will see some shape-shifting in the face, and we
Mm-hmm.
will hear a subtle difference in the tone, and they will be speaking things that sound true or familiar, but it will either feel hollow, or we will hear that
Yeah.
disdain.
Yeah.
I will say that the best example of that is to understand the tone of that is to listen. You only have to listen to about 10 minutes of a Robin Sharma video to
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm talking about, because he is it's not even so much arrogance. He literally has the same disdain, because in their religion, as we know, they view us as dirty, disgusting, and dumb humans,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they literally have this disgust, disdain towards us. And they have
Right.
been, whether or not they have been programmed to believe that, whether or not they got hijacked, whether or not they have always been part of the system, that is there. So that is how you will know.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. I agree. I agree. So I think it's good that you bring that into our awareness, because for those of us that may have question marks around some of those types of people that we've seen, like, well, I kind of wonder sometimes, maybe it'll help you to be more awakened to that when it keeps showing up. Like, oh yeah, well, yeah, sounds good, but something's off here. So I always say, if somebody's spewing a bunch of hate, basically, well, no matter what direction it's going, there's something off. There's something going on. I mean, so that's what I pay attention to, who's controlling them and all that stuff. I don't know for 100 million%, but in my own brain, but I know, like, not to trust the frequency. Then I'm like, okay, that's not the frequency I want to be
Yes.
hanging around with. That's much I do know for sure. So
Yes, that's a good point, because yes, that is really what we're going to see. I mean, this is a very accelerated year this year. We're already feeling now that we have entered the very zoomy part of the acceleration, I will call it, since about May 1st. We are
Mhm.
feeling this, the train is moving fast.
Mhm.
But yes, because the frequency is moving so fast, we are going to also start really becoming so much more attuned to the frequency. And just like you said, it sounds good, but as soon as we hear our brain saying, that sounds good, but the
Right.
but is always what we pay attention to, and it will never make sense, and we will never know why.
Yeah.
So we can sit there and say, I'm going to wait for the evidence to appear to show me why the but is here, or
Mhm.
I'm just going to trust the but and move on.
Right. Right.
That
Right.
should be on a t-shirt. Trust the but and move on.
My first spiritual teacher said, if you make a statement and you put but after it, everything you said before it is negated. So there you go, right? I think there's truth to
Yes.
that.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's been so great to have you on today, Mother Malia. I can't say it enough. I'm speechless as far as what else go on and say about how happy and thrilled I am for you. And so, yeah, thank you so much for being here today on the Spiritual
Oh,
Rockstar Show today.
thank you so much. It has truly been my joy and my honor to be here with you, and of course, all of you listening, because it is just it's such a privilege to be here with all of you.
Oh, likewise. So thank you for everyone listening in. And like I always say, keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.